I remember playing Doom in 1993 for the first time and being absolutely blown away, not just by the game itself, but by how different everything felt back then. The intensity and innovation of the game and the amount of sheer effort it took just to get it running. Today, we're traveling back to 1993 to rip and tear our way through what it was really like to experience Doom. Not the remake from 2016, but the original DOS version in all of its raw and unfiltered glory. Right now, you can buy Doom, download it, and be chainsawing imps within minutes. But in 1993, just getting Doom onto your computer was a bit of a mission itself. First, you had to track down a copy of those magical 2 shareware diskettes. Remember those? Just a taste of the game, teasing you with only the first few levels. No full campaign, just enough to get you hooked. And then, gotta buy the full version, they said. And multiplayer? Forget click and play. You almost needed a computer science degree, a prayer, and a LAN cable longer than your patience. But when it finally worked, pure magic. This, my friends, was PC gaming in 1993. No hand-holding, no instant gratification. Just you, your computer, and the thrill of making it work. So let's rewind and relive the era when booting up Doom felt less like starting a game and more like spending your day at NASA's Mission Control. You see, Doom wasn't just another game, it was a revelation. Before this, we had platformers and the like, and some pretty basic 3D adventures. Doom, it was fast, violent, and terrifyingly immersive. I first heard about it from friends at work who couldn't stop raving about it a little too much, I thought, about the demons, shotguns, and plasma rifles, and the enemies exploding into pixelated gore. Back in 93, it almost felt taboo, like something we shouldn't be messing around with. And watching them play was hypnotic. The eerie atmosphere, the relentless pace. I didn't know whether to be amazed or scared. But one thing was certain, I had to play it myself. And let's not forget, Doom wasn't just made, it was forged by legends. John Carmack's genius coding tapped into the power of home PCs, inventing programming methods to make the 3D world run on 90s hardware. John Romero's level design was sadistically brilliant, crafting mazes that felt like playgrounds from hell. Together with the rest of id Software, they crunched the hours, fueled by heavy metal, as they rewrote the rules of gaming. Modding? Doom invited it. Speedrunning? That was born here. It didn't just make a hit. They created a culture, and 30 years later, we're still living in it. Now before we dive deeper, if you're enjoying this nostalgia trip, consider subscribing. Your support helps me keep these retro throwbacks going. Now back to 1993. Getting Doom running on your home PC felt like a quest in itself. Step 1, the shareware disks. Just 5 levels. A demo by today's standard. But back then, it was everything. I can't even tell you how many times I played through those levels over and over again. Of course, 5 levels weren't enough. So I saved up, drove to the computer store, and came home with a full set of install disks. Each one was a gamble, and you'd keep your fingers crossed and hold your breath as you wondered to yourself, would it complete the install or fail halfway through? And then came the hardware hurdles. Did your PC even stand a chance? A 66 megahertz CPU? 8 whole megabytes of RAM? A 16-bit sound card? Sheesh. I was a starving college student at the time, but luckily was able to commandeer my dad's computer he used for business. Little did he know that late at night, when I was supposed to be studying, I'd use it to open a portal to hell. Well, he probably did. Sorry, Dad. And when the setup was finally completed and actually worked, oh man. He waited for the ridiculously long Windows boot sequence to complete, and then fumbled around for a while with the WASD controls, getting used to your left hand on the keyboard and mouse on your right. And then you were right in the middle of the action. All the deafening shotgun blasts, the demonic groans, and the buckets full of adrenaline. I'd crank up the volume when my parents weren't home, half terrified they'd walk in and see me grinning in delight from ear to ear in the midst of all of the carnage. And if the single-player mayhem wasn't enough, Then came multiplayer. LAN parties weren't just simple plug-and-play affairs. They were arcane rituals to the gaming gods. IPX settings, whatever those were, tangled cables, and sometimes hours of troubleshooting. But when it clicked, chaos and absolute glory. I once even skipped my uni class just to get fragged in multiplayer something like 412 times to a measly 32 of my own. And even though I sucked, playing it together with friends was unforgettable, and we loved every second of the action. And that music, the heavy metal and industrial soundtrack, raw like the powerful sounds of Alice in Chains cranked through a demonic amplifier. It really made the game. Without it, Doom just wouldn't have felt the same. Now for a quick break, if you're loving this, check out the description below for a playlist of more retro gaming deep dives. And the rest is history. As you surely know, Doom wasn't just a game, it was the start of a revolution that defined FPS games forever. Every shooter today owes it, well, just about everything. It proved PCs weren't just for spreadsheets, they were gateways to demon slaying. And I'll always wear it as a badge of honor to have witnessed it all firsthand back in the day. And even though today you can play Doom on your phone or even a smart refrigerator, back in '93 it was blood, sweat, and tears, blue screens of death included. So next time you load it up, take a second to appreciate how far we've come, and maybe thank those dusty little diskettes that started it all. So if you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane, smash that like button, share it with your fellow retro gamers, and subscribe for more. What was your first Doom memory? Let me know in the comments. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I'd like to invite you to subscribe for more feel-good retro gaming content. Alright my friends, this is the Retro Gaming Boss signing off, reminding you to keep your games old school. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.